Thank you so much for that, Sarah. Dr. Dain Heer says you can change the world by changing yourself. Welcome back to New Zealand, Dain. Lovely to have you here.
Brendan, thanks very much for having me again.
So we can. What are we specifically talking about today?
What we're talking about is, we look at our leaders in the world, for example, and a lot of times we say, well, they're not doing a very good job, but we're not asking what can we contribute to that. What do we need to contribute ourselves to changing the things that are going on in our lives and on the planet? And that's really what it's about.
So what can we do to sort of change things, to make an effort?
Number one thing is we can start by asking a question. A question such as, what contribution can I be? What contribution can I be to changing this situation that I'd like to change?
Right.
What most of us do is we come up with a conclusion and we head in that direction, and that's all we'll see. When you ask a question, it opens up possibilities that we never saw before, and that's the beginning of creating a different choice.
Is that easy to do, though?
Well, if you're willing to do it.
Right. So that's the thing I guess, is having the mindset to go, right, I'm wanting to make a change now.
Yeah, and I'm also willing to be a leader. What leadership is about for me is being willing to be a leader in your own life, regardless of whether you have followers. It's not about getting people to follow you. It's about knowing what you know and what you need to do.
Well, they're your strengths, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really? Working with your strengths to try and pass that on to...
That is exactly what it is, working with your strengths. For example, let's say a mother, she knows always what to do for her kids. And she knows when there's something that is not safe and not right. Even if somebody else says, hey, let's take the kids here, she goes, no, I'm not going there. Because she's willing to lead in that situation. Well, what if she applied that to the rest of her life? To the money situation, to the family situation, to raising the kids and everything else. If you know what you know and are willing to follow it, then you become a leader in your life, and that transfers into the world also. So
what happens once you've made this conscious decision that you want to become this leader? You start changing the way that you're doing things, and you start trying to make an effect maybe within your own household, from your own household to your community, maybe then nationally and then internationally. How do you go about sort of taking it to the next step?
Well, number one, you start with you. And then number two, you realize that we don't live alone on this planet. We're here with 6.5 billion other people. And all of our points of view are contributing to what occurs here. So when you actually realize, you know what, there's a different possibility available, you contribute that possibility to other people. So for example, as you know, 10 years ago I wanted to kill myself. And I was actually at the point where I would have. And 10 years later, I'm actually traveling the world sharing these tools with people. Well, for me, when somebody says, oh my God, I wanted to kill myself too, I realize, thanks to you, that I don't have to do that. That changes their possibilities. And that's the gift that we can be for each other.
What was the thing for you that changed you? I mean, 10 years ago, you're thinking about killing yourself. What was the thing that sort of...
The thing was, when I got out of, easy for me to say in English, when I was willing to get out of being a victim. When I went, you know what, because prior to that, I was blaming everybody else for the fact that my life wasn't working. And I went, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. No matter what happens, I'm going to take responsibility for changing this now. And that day, it started changing. The energy of it changed.
It's not easy because, I've talked to people that have sort of gone through these processes. You have programs that you run that can help people to sort of implement or put things into place so that they can then build upon them. Yeah,
that's exactly what we do, is we give people the step-by-step tools to be able to change anything they want to change and actually step into being the leader in their lives and also the source for change in a larger arena. And what we do is called Access Consciousness.
Right.
And the classes are all about empowering you, not somebody else. It's not about following me or listening to me. It's what do you know that you don't yet know? And what it does is it changes the possibilities that you have available, and that's really what it's all about.
Is it quite interesting for you, sort of, when you're doing these classes, seeing people and then identifying something with them that maybe they've subconsciously they've known about, but you're kind of tapping into their subconscious to sort of unravel it?
That is the greatest gift in doing these classes. The greatest gift is the change that I see in people's lives. I mean, people who have wanted to change something for sometimes 30 years, and all of a sudden they get that one awareness that they needed that's locking it in place, and it changes. And you can see their face change, you can see their body change, and their whole life is different after that. It's the most amazing gift in the world.
So the last time you were on, you had a book. You've got another book coming out in the spring.
In the spring. It's called Being You, Changing the World.
Right. So that's providing tools for people that are wanting to sort of move forward in their lives.
Yes. It's sort of like Chicken Soup for the Soul meets The Secret meets steroids.
Right.
On steroids. Okay.
Right.
It's kind of like that because it's inspirational, but in reading it, you tap into this energy of awareness of possibility that, you know what? what if things didn't have to be the way they were yesterday? What if they didn't have to be the way they were for the last 20 years? What if tomorrow could be completely different? And what if we could choose what that would be like?
How does it make you feel when you're doing all these classes around the world and seeing people change? I mean, it must empower you as a person.
Absolutely. It's like I said, it's one of the greatest gifts I could ever receive. You know, getting to travel the world and making money and being able to pay rent is really nice, but that pales in comparison to seeing someone's life change and knowing that I had a part in it. But the thing is, it's always their choice.
Right.
I can't make someone change, darn it. Because aren't there lots of people in our lives we'd like to make change?
That's right.
Except we can. It's got to be their choice. But the one thing that we can be for people is we can be an inspiration.
Yeah.
We can be something that lets people know this is a different possibility that you might have.
If there are people that, you know, they've done your courses and maybe they fall off the wagon later on down the line, maybe every now and then, can they contact you? Or do they have tools in place where you can help them out?
There's all of it, actually. There's tools in place. There's books that they get with the tools in them, so they can always refer to them. And I give people my cell phone number and say, look, if you've taken a class with me, you get 5 to 7 minutes of my time free of charge.
Really? So does it happen that often, though?
It happens a lot. I get about 50 phone calls a day when I'm not out of the country, and usually only about 20 when I'm out of the country. So, so it does happen a lot.
Here in New Zealand, I know you're heading over to Australia to do some classes over there.
Yes.
Do you get a lot of people sort of wanting to come along and listen to your message?
Yeah, quite a bit. One of the interesting things is our access consciousness has been growing rather dynamically in the last year.
Right. And
it's interesting because I talked to somebody else in the self-help industry, and they said that the people they were working with, their numbers had gone down 60 to 70%. And I went, wow, that's interesting. So something we're doing is working.
Right.
What I think it might be is the fact that we're actually empowering people to know that they know, please don't follow me, please don't follow anyone, please be a leader in your own life. And I know we're getting to time, so I wonder if I might ask a question of everybody watching. And that would be, what contribution can we be to the miners? In other words, energetically, what contribution can we be that might facilitate a change there or facilitate that occurring with ease?
Right.
Because, you know, it's one of those things that energetically we may have the possibility to contribute to, but we just have to ask the question.
Dr. Dain, great advice as always. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me again, Brandon.
Welcome back to New Zealand.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And for more on Dr. Dain, see our website at tvnz.co.nz/goodmorning.